I suck. I'm not good. Why did I even think this was a good idea? I was like really beating myself down for that. Had a mini breakdown. That girl had taken off the heat of someone to charge her phone. How fucking selfish do you have to be to do that? Like, hi lovely humans. Today is my birthday, so I asked you guys on Instagram what type of videos you wanted to see for this occasion. And a bunch of you were curious to hear about times I've screwed up while traveling abroad. You bunch of sadists. No, but seriously, I have made so many mistakes when traveling abroad. I've had so many fuck-ups. But that's part of the journey, you know, that's part of the adventure. And yeah, I thought it would be funny to share that with you. I thought I would make a whole video listing all the time I've screwed up, but then I realized every single one of those stories deserved a whole video, otherwise it would be way too long. So yeah, if you want this to become a series, please let me know in the comments. If you like to hear about my suffering, I will be happy to share. And yeah, in this video I'm just gonna focus on one story, which is how I got in way over my head hiking in the Chinese mountains in winter. And you'll see that in this story there are lots of elements which weren't really my fault entirely, but also everything was made 100 times worse by my lack of anticipation. And so I can only blame myself for how terrible it turned out and how much of a complete nightmare it ended up being. So yeah, so for a bit of background, I was studying in China at the time. I was an exchange student at Sichuan University in Shanghai, and for winter break I had planned to do a big trip throughout central and northeastern China. So as part of this month-and-a-half long road trip, I was planning on spending 3 days hiking Emeishan. Emeishan or Mount Emei are sacred Taoist mountains located in the Sichuan province, and they look gorgeous in theory. So the plan was that on the first day we'd take a short cable car ride and then hike up. We would spend the night in a monastery. The next day we would continue to hike up to the highest point of the mountains, where you have like a big giant golden Buddha. You have lots of tourists who come by cable car straight to the golden Buddha to see it, and then they go down. But we would hike up to the golden Buddha, get down a bit by another pass, spend another time in a monastery, and then go down. The last day, just go down the mountain, and the last day was supposed to be the most gorgeous views, the most gorgeous environments. Spoiler alert, we did not get there. And now that you know how things were supposed to go, let's talk about how they actually went. These mountains are quite touristic, so that's why you have buses and cable car, and you also have little like cabins, shops selling stuff along the different trails, so you can buy food there, etc. So even if we were gonna hike in the cold for 3 days, we weren't that worried. Also, I should mention I'm a decent hiker. Like, I'm not the most athletic person ever, but I'm pretty good at hiking, so it was gonna be hard, but I wasn't too worried. And on the morning of our first day of hike, we just grabbed a good earthy breakfast. We also bought some light lunch food, because, you know, we can buy some more food at the stores along the way. You see where I'm going with this? And we grabbed our backpacks and we left. The first thing that went kind of wrong is that we realized that we couldn't take the cable car ride, like the first little jump that we were gonna do. Like, it was supposed to be very short, but it was gonna skip to the most interesting part of the hike. And so not being able to take that cable car meant that we went from a 5 hours hike to a 7 hours hike. It was closed because it was winter. I should have checked. We're just gonna hike 2 extra hours. 7 hours is a long time, but it's doable, you know. And at the beginning of the trail, there was an old Chinese lady. There was actually like a bunch of old Chinese ladies. They were selling, you know, walking sticks and mountaineering crampons, I don't know how you pronounce it. Like, you know, those, like, but like they were selling very like rudimentary, rustic, simple crampons. And we bought walking sticks, but I looked at the crampons and I was like, do we need that though? It's really sunny, I can't see any snow or ice. do we really need that? And also, even if we end up needing it, we can just buy it along the way. Why make this a big deal? I can't be bothered. Clara, why? So we start the hike, and very quickly we arrived at the bottom of some stairs. You know, some stairs that were like carved right into the rock of the mountains going up. Cool, no problem. We start going up those stairs. The steps were really irregular, like very steep, but also never the same height and kind of wobbly, not straight, bad stairs. You know, usually when you hike, you can have like quite a bit of stairs, but then at some point you can see that like the stairs end and you're gonna walk for a bit. I mean, walk up, but walk, not climb stairs. Except when I was looking up, the stairs were continuing and continuing and continuing and continuing. And after 2 hours of only stairs with no view whatsoever, like no pretty view, nothing but stairs and stairs and stairs, I think the stairs were making me crazy. Like my body was feeling that it was really hard to do with like my backpack and my extra coat on and everything. But also like just mentally, this image of the stairs going forever was kind of freaking me out, because that's not what I was envisioning with this hike. And really, honestly, I had a bit of a mental breakdown at that point. I kind of freaked out because everyone was also walking faster than me and going up ahead of me. My friend was like far gone at this point, and I felt, what did I just got myself into? Like, I'm unfit to do this. I'm not fit enough. I suck. I'm not good. Why did I even think this was a good idea? I was like really beating myself down for that. Had a mini breakdown, got over it, continued hiking. You know, continued hiking up and up. Finally, on the way, I kind of start noticing the little cabins that sell things, except they're all closed. Because again, it's winter, so everything is closed. So that's not great. I catch up with my friend, we eat her lunch. So in my case, it was like 2 pieces of bread with some tomato and salad in it. As you can imagine, not the best food when you're hiking, but you deal with it. We ate that and we just continued going up and up and up. And still only stairs. It gets really cold. Fortunately, I have like good clothes, and also I had a thermos bottle with hot water in it, so I just could keep myself warm. The problem was that at this point, steps start being icy and slippery. And I had good snow boots, but my snow boots had no adherence, like nothing was happening with ice. I was slipping away. And it started getting real dangerous because the steps were already so irregular, and now I'm like almost slipping at every step. I slipped and like caught myself almost breaking my wrist a few times. I felt like at some point I was going to slip backwards and behind me were just stairs. It was all a very bad situation to be in, just because I had been too dumb to take like the crampons. Like I had people walking past me who had like those like little, even if they were really simple, like they had those crampons tied up to their shoes, and I had to go super slow and very carefully because I didn't have them. There is this group of Chinese guys, like college students, that they walk ahead of me. And I'm mentioning them because they were my guardian angels. To this day, my only explanation is that they were guardian angels. And they are going to make a lot of things that went wrong in this story better. Anyway, so they walk past me, they see me struggling, we exchange like polite smiles and like, I know, right, that this is hard. And at some point they're resting, so I catch up with them. And very nicely, they offer me a pair of crampons. Like apparently like they had bought an extra pair and they had seen me being like having difficulties and they gifted it to me. And I was so thankful for that. Like they were so nice to do that to just a random stranger. So they give it to me, I thank them, I attach them to my shoes, like I tie up the laces thing, and I go on my merry way. At this point, every step has like 2 centimeters of ice on them. It still stays. It's better because of the crampons, but what happens very regularly is that the tie, like the laces get untied, because like the crampons stay stuck in the ice, and when I move my foot, the crampons stay in the ice while my foot and my shoe are going up to the next step. So again, kind of dangerous and like kind of making me lose my balance a bit. So I keep stopping to just tie them again, and at some point I'm kneeling forward, like I'm bending forward to tie again my crampons, when my thermos bottle, which was hanging from my backpack, falls on the stairs and starts rolling down super fast. It just abandons me. And the sound of the bottle rolling away was the sound of solitude. When I moved to grab my thermos bottle, like when I tried to catch it up, I slipped, obviously. I have my whole body on the icy stairs, like, and my bottle is rolling away, and I have my crampons like half hanging from my shoes. So the Chinese guys see that and they come to me and they're like, "Are you okay? Like, are you hurt?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, it's all good, don't worry, thank you. I'm just gonna tie that and get up and this is gonna be over." Like, I'm quite ashamed of everything that's happening. And so I try to tie the lace of my crampons again, with all those guys surrounding me literally and looking at me and giving me instructions on how to tie them better. Except I'm already not good at those things. I'm not good at tying shoelaces. I'm not great. And having people watching you while you do it, like putting pressure on you, I was flustered, I was messy. And so one of the guys probably pities me and he just comes in front of me, like below me on the stairs, and he kneels down and he ties my lace on my shoes. Like, he literally tied my laces, like from my crampons, and I'm like, this, yeah, thank you. And like, honestly, I'm kind of ashamed of that, but I'm so thankful because I was clearly struggling and that was so helpful. And so I thank him, I stand up, and then I notice like one of the guys that apparently had left the group at some point is coming back up the stairs, and in his hand he's handling my thermos bottle. Like, he has my bottle of water with him. That guy went down the stairs to grab my fucking bottle. When I say they were guardian angels, I was not exaggerating. This is how nice these people were to me. I am forever thankful. So the next few hours kind of went in a blur. The only thing that was kind of noticeable about them were the monkeys, because you have very aggressive monkeys in these mountains. Like, that's also why one of the reasons it's recommended to have a walking stick, so you can just shoo them away. Yeah, they're very big monkeys, they're aggressive, they move in groups, and there was one point where I like walked in between 2 rows of like pickets, and on each picket you had a monkey. And so you walk in this alley of monkeys, and you know that like when you have some behind you, it was all quite stressful. We arrive at a monastery around 4:30 p.m. and we could have walked for another like 2 hours to get to another monastery, but we were done. We were exhausted, physically and mentally. So we were just like, oh, you know what, this monastery has like cheap enough dormitories, we can just go in them. So we pay, we settle down. Like, my dormitory had broken windows. I go to his dormitory to sit on my friend's bed and we start chatting. and we talk about really like deep personal stuff. And at some point my friend breaks down crying, and a monkey enters the room, because there are monkeys in this monastery, and like we are trying to get the monkey, like we're having a deep personal emotional conversation, and there is this monkey in the room that we're trying to get to leave, and he doesn't want to leave because he's not afraid of human at this point. And we went to grab dinner, and actually the canteen of the monastery, like where they would serve food for the monks and also the travelers, closed at like 5:30, so we arrived right when the shift was finishing. And all the food that was on the plate, all the food meaning rice and green beans, was cold at this point because the canteen also had broken windows, so the cold wind of the mountains was just seeping through the canteen. I'm wearing my gloves while trying to handle my chopsticks. Like handling chopsticks with like big snow gloves on is hard. Eat some of our cold rice and cold green beans, and my friend goes to bed because, you know, when you are in the mountain you got nothing to do, like the sun is setting down already, I have nothing to do. I go on a quest to warm up my body a bit because I'm very cold, and I have a history of being frostbite, like of getting frostbites. I think that's how you call them in English. I've had pretty bad frostbites on my feet before. Yes, that's possible. Like I didn't get amputated or anything, like I got that, so I'm kind of wary of situations where I feel like my feet got really cold. So there weren't any showers, but there was a room for hot water. So I go to the hot water room, I fill up a basket, and the plan for me was to just like put my feet in them and warm them up, put my hands in them, like kind of splash some warm water on me. But water was mildly warm, like was lukewarm at best. Lukewarm, that's what it was. But it took me half an hour to get my feet to accept lukewarm water, because it felt burning on my feet, like it felt boiling, because my feet were so cold. And that kind of worried me, like that really worried me actually, because I was like, how, like this is not a good sign if it takes half an hour of like very gently trying to get my feet in this water for my body to accept it. I did manage to get my feet and hand a bit warmer. I go back to my room, I get into bed. The bed had like very small heating mattress. Since the room was still so cold and with the broken windows and everything, like they don't all heat the whole room. Like each bed in the dormitory, like there were like 6 or 8 beds, had its own heating mattress, which was really tiny, like it did not heat that well and was not even the width of my body, but it's something, you know. Each bed had one plug, which meant that like you could only plug in your heating mattress and nothing else. And I'm mentioning this because like I get in bed and the girl in the bed next to me also plugs in her own heating mattress, and then she's like, hey, can I use your plug to charge my phone? And I'm like, no, I'm using my plug for my heating mattress, so no, you can't use it to charge your iPhone, sorry. And it's like, oh, okay. So I kind of try to get I put all the clothes that I have on the bed, on top of the cover. I try to snuggle as close as I can to the heating mattress, and I managed to fall asleep. That night it was minus 25 degrees Celsius in the mountain where we were, and probably the same temperature inside the room, to be honest, because of the windows and the wind. And in the morning when I wake up, I feel frozen to the bones. I feel so cold. I am like, I should not feel that cold. Of course, I had never been that cold in my life, but like it goes further than that. Like I felt unhealthily cold. And I'm like, why didn't the heating mattress bring me some heat? Like, why am I waking up feeling like I'm about to die? And I'm exaggerating a bit, but I really didn't feel well. And I check and I see that the girl in the bed next to me had unplugged my heating mattress during the night to plug in her phone. That girl had taken off the heat of someone to charge her phone. How fucking selfish do you have to be to do that? Like, how dumb are you? Like, honestly, this blows my mind. Because also, like, there were some free beds in the room which had like plugs that weren't used. So she could have just plugged her phone on another bed. But she didn't. Like, she wanted to have her phone close by, so she charged her phone on the plug of my heating mattress. Which also explained why I was so damn cold. And yeah, so that happened, and that pissed me off. I got up, I packed my bag, and I met up with my friend. And we kind of had like a big chat. Because at this point, the first day, of course, had been very physically challenging and emotionally had like taken a huge toll on us. Like, we didn't realize how mentally this first day would affect us, but it had. Like, we were waking up in just the clouds, in the grey. We had no views but stairs. I was ready to do 2 other days of hiking, but I could not do another night like this. I could not feel so frozen for another night in the monastery. I was really worried about my feet. I was really worried about my hand. I was worried about my general health handling all that cold. And my friend also felt extremely exhausted, on a bunch of emotionally exhausted, physically exhausted from that first day. We made decisions that the second day was actually going to be our last day of hiking. We would not do the third day. We would hike up to the Golden Buddha and we would take the cable car down from there. And that's what we did. That's what we ended up doing. And the second day of hiking was a bit easier, I think, because we're kind of used to it at this point. It was still super cool, but we're kind of used to it. The views were not that great. Like, we could barely see anything because of the clouds. Like, you could kind of see things, but not that much. I did still enjoy being in the freezing nature. Like, I remember all like the bamboo leaves with like ice on them. That was super pretty. The Golden Buddhas was kind of impressive. Very over the top, and like half the time it was like in the cloud, like you could see the cloud just eat up the Buddha and then you would see it again. Was quite pretty. Over the, like near the top, you also had like a bunch of monkeys because tourists were feeding them. Anyway, yeah, the second day was not that bad, but also it was not that bad because we knew it was the last day. I did not think about that, but like a message I kind of I guess I want to get across in this video is like, sometimes it's okay to know your own limits. Like, clearly, what I can get from this story is that I was good at hiking, but I had never hiked in the mountains in winter, and I did not anticipate properly for this. If you messed up and you are in a situation where either you can continue doing what you're doing or you can just stop, it's okay to stop. Like, it's okay to say, hey, I did not prepare for this properly. I cannot do this. That's absolutely fine to admit, and that's, I think, maybe even better to just not push yourself to injuries. Because the second day, actually, we also didn't eat. I forgot to mention that. The second day, there was no breakfast at the monastery, and we didn't find any place to buy food on our way up to the Buddha. So we didn't eat. Clearly, I hadn't planned well enough, and sometimes you gotta admit your mistakes and know your limits. Life has a fun way of going sometimes, you know. And yeah, that's all for this story. I'm sorry this was super long, but I thought it would be a funny story to share. And if you relate, like any of this, please let me know what you found the funniest in the comments. You can roast me. I'm fine with being roasted. Just go ahead. It's really okay. And yeah, I hope you learned something from this. And if you like this type of content, if you want to see more of my face, hear more of my stories, and see more of my adventures, you can subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to see you around again. Thank you for watching, and see you soon. And yeah, this is what I'm wearing in August in Paris.